I don't know if you heard our boy Chris Sims over the weekend. Chris Chris Sims was on with All City Phoenix, okay? And the I'll give you the crux of it. So they were asking him sort of to put in context where he would judge Kyler Murray, and it sort of spun into Jalen Hurts.
Of course he did.
Of course it did, right? So he said flat out he thinks he's the most overrated player in football. Now he said there's a lot of things I respect about him as a a person, whatever. But the gist of it was the most overrated player in football. You know what this is, Tone? This goes back to 2021. Chris Sims.
Mm-hmm.
Leading up to the 22 season, talked about how, he wasn't a good player. He wasn't this, he wasn't that. Then he has to eat his words in 22 when Hurts has the monster season, right? And everybody's riding him. Everybody's all over him. And then he kind of, backtracks a little bit. Then you see a bit of a step back from Hurts last year. And it's like, remember
told
me?
you.
I'm the one who said, told you so. That's exactly what this is.
I've never seen someone try to ride the coattails of one player, this much before. I mean, outside of Skip Bayless and LeBron James. But Chris Sims over the past 3 years, let's be honest, he's been feeding, and we're quite literally doing the exact same thing.
And
right
we're giving him what he wants, by the way.
We're giving him exactly what he wants, but it's okay. Listen, when you play stupid games, you're going to win stupid prizes. The way I see it is, it's hard for me to take him seriously in this regard, because at the end of the day, it's clearly coming from a place of trying to be seen, trying to be heard, trying to ruffle feathers, right? To me, it comes off as very disingenuous. And again, you found a way to weave Jalen Hurts into a conversation about an entire another player, right? It's strange. It's strange to me. The fact of the matter is, this is what I've been talking about. I've talked about this on the National Football Show, and I think I've talked about it on Sports Take. There is a group of sports pundits who quite literally couldn't wait for Jalen Hurts to have a stumble. There's quite literally a faction in sports who was waiting for Jalen Hurts to have a moment of weakness, to have any slight hitch in his game. They were waiting for it so they can feel validated in themselves. And the fact of the matter is, Jalen Hurts has done a lot in his career that Chris Sims wish he could have did. Yeah. Like playing the Super Bowl, like be a second-team All-Pro, like be a Pro Bowler. You know what I mean?
Get a big contract.
Yeah. Like get a big contract, right? Not all of us can live off the legacy of our fathers.
Yep.
Like a Chris Sims.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, look, man. Sometimes you got to take the wins when you can get them. When you grow up being the son of Phil Sims, sometimes you feel like you get the right to speak on certain things.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, Jalen Hurts is a player, and this is another part about it too that kind of pisses me off. Don't tell me how much of a good person he is, and then slap him in the face. You know what I'm saying?
It's patronizing, is what
right.
it is.
Don't ring my doorbell, offer me cookies, and then take a dump on my lawn. Don't do that.
Oh man! All right.
Don't do me like that. Come on, man. So it's weak sauce. It's corny.
Here's the thing, and when you say this and we talk about this, it doesn't mean that Jalen Hurts doesn't have a lot to work on. Of course he does, right? Of course he does. But to go to the extreme, like, let me put it this way: Chris Sims just said, "Hey, look, I was disappointed. He took a step back this year, and there's some things that he really needs to work on. Progressions, pocket awareness, blah blah blah." Okay, that's fair, totally objective, critique.
Right,
right on.
Right, we said that.
We're not saying, I'm not saying a word. If he said that. The problem is when you go to the extreme with the absolutes, where you say most overrated guy in the league. Stop. Come on, man. Most overrated guy in the league. I mean,
he's not. But listen, he got exactly what he wanted. This is where we are, right?
I know.
Speaking in such a way that. Listen, he got what he wanted.
I know. It's the same thing with
that, right? He got what
same thing with Skip Bayless. It's like I get it. I usually don't take the bait, and I usually don't feed into it. But sometimes you got to call it out when it's this absurd.
Of course. And look. At the end of the day, it's conversation, it's content, right? Look, this is the off season. People are, fishing for content, being creative, and I think this is also where you make your money. Really, you got to be creative. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And look. He's been feasting. Again, I think my biggest issue is how much he's been feasting on Jalen Hurts over the past 3 years. He's been feasting on it.
Yep.
And there's some, and obviously, he's a giant guy, because of his dad, like his dad's legacy, something he can never achieve. And that's all you really have. That's all you really have to hold on to. I mean, there's an infamous video of John Gruden trying to teach you a play, and you can't even regurgitate it back to him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, I didn't play in the NFL, but I know my lane, right? Yeah. Maybe you should have knew yours. Maybe you wish you were built for NFL level play. That clearly wasn't the case for you. So I can understand when you look at a guy like Jalen Hurts, who was a former second-round pick, a guy who's been doubted since day one, a guy who found his way into a Super Bowl game, played well, still lost the game, but still played well up until that point in that game, earned himself a $50 million deal. Again, the turnovers were unacceptable in 2023. That can't happen. But overall, a guy who's in a pretty optimal situation in terms of where he's going to go in his career based off the work ethic. I mean, I can understand how you wish you were that guy. I could totally understand that. So kudos to you, Chris Sims. It's crazy because I actually watch some of your content and I enjoy it sometimes, right? Yeah. So listen, you're great at your job, man, but I can understand how you wish you were Jalen Hurts. I totally get it. I get it.
Yeah.
You see, no one likes. You see what I did there, Rob?
I see what you did.
The backhanded, hey, you're great at your job. You just did
what he did. Yeah, you did the. He's the most overrated guy, but I love him. There's a lot of things I love about
the most overrated opinion in sports. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
NBC primetime job. Why? Oh, I know who your dad is. That's right.
I'll tell you too, man. Like Jason Garrett, Chris Sims. I'm trying to think of who else. And when they toss to the games, it's Jack Collinsworth, who's Chris's son. It's like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like this is the best you can do from a network perspective.
The prototypical Nepo babies.
Right. Exactly. And they're not even trying to hide it, man. And some guys like, and the sad thing is it gives bad names to guys who like Joe Buck, people who always gave heat to Joe Buck. Joe Buck, in my opinion, is a phenomenal broadcaster. Okay,
yeah,
my
same.
opinion.
I agree.
And I know what his dad was a legend, whatever. But Joe Buck's legit. These other guys are not. They're there. We know why they're there, but it's some BS, man. All right, today we're gonna have Dave Zangaro joining us in about 5 minutes. So Dave's going to hop on from NBC Sports Philadelphia. We'll run through everything, Reddick, all the way down to what they're going to do. He thinks in the draft. We're going to dive into some interesting names, Tone, that are being floated about. Okay, including L'Jarius Sneed, Derrick Henry, among them. So we'll look also at what you do with some of the other people. Like we've done a deep dive into some of the big names, but how about guys like Avonte Maddox?
Mm-hmm.
How about some other guys like Jack Driscoll, who you may say, big deal. Well, that's a pretty good depth piece who's a free agent who a lot of people have walking away. So we'll get into that. We'll do our usual NFL stuff, some Sixers as we look ahead to the second half of the season. I thought the Flyers had a pretty cool weekend, man. I don't know how much, if you got a chance to see any of the Stadium Series stuff, but I thought the NHL did a nice job with all of it, man, playing outside at MetLife Stadium. So it was cool. Kudos to the NHL for doing something a little bit out of the box. So we'll do that. We'll dive into, I have a little surprise for you at the end of the show based on President's Day. I'm going to run through some of the all-time, and this is for all the sports. Some of the great players we had with presidential last names that I've put together for you.
That's interesting.
Some good ones, man.
I've never given that any kind of thought. Hey, listen, you're good.
Because you don't have a warped mind like I do.
This is why you get paid the big bucks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Sills is right. The coolest part of the Flyers weekend. The Flyers came off the team bus in the gray Rocky sweatsuit
with the towels
and black chucks.
The Scullies.
Yeah, the Scullies, the black chucks, and the gray sweatsuit. They nailed it. It was really cool. And the Devils did like a Sopranos theme. It was really cool, man. And that's, to me, that's like the extra detail where you're taking it to the extra mile there. So again, good detail, good job by the NHL this weekend. All things told. All right, let's come back. We'll talk to Dave Zangaro. Talk some birds with Dave when we return. Don't go anywhere. All right, I'm going to tell you right now about Bravo Pizza of Havertown. They're actually getting their new ovens installed this week. So it is brick oven. It's going to be ridiculous at Bravo Pizza of Havertown. Been going there since I was a kid, family owned since 1985. You got Alex and the crew in there 7 days a week. Great thing is, man, there's tons of variety. They have 20 different styles of pizza. They have slices to go. They have the specialized pizza, however you want it, they'll make it. But you're not up for pizza. They got fresh pasta, sandwiches, wraps, wings, and salads. Not to mention, Bravo Pizza of Havertown does a ton for the community. They have fundraisers for charities, for schools, for little leagues, where the proceeds go to those organizations. You can follow them at the Bravo Pizza of on Instagram and Facebook for daily specials and promotions. They're located at 1305 Westchester Pike, Manoa Shopping Center in Havertown, 1305 Westchester Pike, Manoa Shopping Center in Havertown. Give them a call, 610-446-3810, 610-446-3810, Bravo Pizza of Havertown.
I remember getting my heart broken when they lost the Super Bowl in 2004. We're big Eagles fans. We moved to South Philly because of the Eagles. When they won, we went straight to Broad Street, and everybody was going nuts over there, and it was just a memory that you'll never forget.